So I'm gonna vlog this one right here. So right now I think it's don't leave yes right here. I think it's called I don't know what it's called yet. It's untitled for right now. Should I? Or no, wait. Should. Okay, so it starts with. No, it doesn't start with that. It starts with, will she show? I don't know. Should I go? That's all I have right now. So we're starting with. Will she show? I don't know. Should I go? After her? Hey, let's make up some stuff soon. So you come in right here. Da, 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 da. And I just do like da da da. So the lyrics would come in right here. I guess be one line. I mean, we'll start with the introduction. Don't know. Should I go after her? One more time. Here's your turn. Going to the pretty part.
After she goes, well, I follow her.
After she goes, will I follow her?
outside.
So hot outside. If only we were in cooler climate, we could come up with something good to sing about. But it's hot, and we have to sing about the heat. Let me finish up the last part of the solo. Okay. So, we're working on it. I don't have a title yet. I think it's something like, Will She Show?
Okay, all right.
I think that's maybe the title. Will She Show?
Hot.
Anyway, yeah, it is hot. We're going to get back in. So we'll be headed out here. Double check, make sure everything's locked. Remember, we'll be vlogging the new location. I guess it's this one. And we're gonna be headed off here pretty soon. So this next vlog coming up, hopefully, I'm kind of taking the day off for this particular move. I'm getting, started early. I don't know, it's like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. Pretty much almost have everything out right now. The only thing I'm worried about is that entertainment center, because I don't have, the only thing I'll have a problem with, I think, when it comes to reassembly, is I'll have to really kind of toy through that entertainment center thing that I think we might have got it at Walmart. My second wife got it. She assembled it, but the directions or the schematics is somewhere out there. I looked on YouTube, and there's thousands upon thousands of people assembling TV stands and entertainment centers on YouTube, using the schematics and directions and things like that. I didn't find the one that we have, so I'll have to give it my best shot. And that may be another vlog that I do. Mostly it's with Allen wrenches and just regular screws. But anyway, it's September 30th. It's about 9:24 a.m. And I'm gonna do a quick drop on these. Got some artwork to drop off there, the new place, and this lamp, of course. And then the end tables and things like that, so. Welcome to the Please Subscribe show. Brought to you by Cole Spivey. And other artists too that make guest appearances. And friends. And of course the Linda and Cole band. Linda is a big part of it. She's part of the music of it and everything like that. So anyway, I just released one, I think it was 370, PSS 371, about us picking up an art kit, which I already did move. So it's a Walmart art kit, and I have done some painting and some drawing on it, which I do plan to vlog. Now, one thing I also want to vlog too is the werewolf screenplay, because I think it's really good. It's about vloggers and a werewolf. I want to maybe vlog that one. I'm pretty much done with most of it. I just have to have kind of the falling action to the resolution of that screenplay. We'll get back to you later, and I'm gonna have you listening to this lamp making noise. I'm gonna have to listen to that for a while. I'll get used to it. Oh yeah, and the Glade. I got some Glade air freshener too for the new bathroom. since the move, I've been kind of working out a little bit, you know, picking up the boxes and whatnot. So I wore the Punisher shirt, you know, to give me that kind of extra, you know, I don't know, maybe one day I'll play the Punisher. But, you know, to give me that extra boost. You're gonna get that furniture up those stairs. Oh, gave out some information. Well, down the stairs. I had to bring them down the stairs from that other place. But anyway, you won't know exactly where I'm at completely, like you did that place for sure. I did have some problems with some comments made about knowing my location and stuff like that from people, certain people. It kind of spooked me out. So I watched this Escaping the Mouse with Breck Roll, and he gave out some really good information about not vlogging the outside of your house. If you're becoming a popular vlogger, don't do that. Not on the outside of it. I didn't think that my subscribers were gonna keep on and keep on and keep on, and then I realized, oh boy. And you start to feel that snowball kind of thing going on. And when that happens, you have to start preparing for it. So the first thing you have to do is kind of go incognito and where you're going. So anyway, be leaving Louisville and headed to the next location. I mean, obviously, you know that I'm in Texas, so I'm not gonna lie about that. And I think I've mentioned that I'm in the Fort Worth area, so still pretty big though. I think there's, about roughly 1.5 million, going on 2 million people in Dallas. I think Fort Worth is headed to about 1 million. So it's still a pretty big place. That was Louisville back there. We know that in the past, there are many laws that did not work. Legal things. We're going through that right now. Now, of course, the civil rights happened in the 1960s. Of course, before that, I think there was, of course, abortion and things like that. Those, a lot of laws, Roe versus Wade, which, of course, you know, I am pro-life, but yet, again, that law was changed too. Laws do change. Laws don't remain the same because of hardship, because they end up hurting people. And when we find out that these laws are not worthy, then as a body of people, as a democratic union, you could say, as a democratic nation, then we come together and we either protest against these laws that we don't agree with. I don't see any logic in charging child support to poverty-stricken people. When the poor can no longer afford to exist because the government is taxing them, then we have something called taxation without representation, meaning the tax does not represent anything worthy. It doesn't do anything for society. It doesn't help in any way. It should be part of a welfare that goes within the government. Think of Social Security. There were laws behind that too. Older people can no longer work, so what happens? They draw upon Social Security so they can live just a little bit longer, right? It's all checks and balances. So currently, I'm supposed to get an income tax of $3,000. Well, you know, that can also possibly, I could use that to appease possibly what they're asking for and this whole mess in supporting the government. See, or I can make an agreement with my second wife, I don't know, to get back together. But I don't think the poverty-stricken should have to suffer through, and you know what, here, just do the math here, do the statistics. Who are the people that are paying child support? It's the poverty-stricken. It's not the rich. They find ways out of it, either through custody battles and things like that. They don't have to pay child support. The only people that have to pay child support are the poverty-stricken. It's one law that's hurting this country, and it's probably one of the reasons why George Floyd was killed. It was probably one of the reasons why many other people that have been shot and killed were probably because of these laws. And we need to change them. We need to change them quick. Because if you take someone's, if you take their way of life away from them, then just like a heart, taking away their heart, how are they supposed to go on? It happened with farmers when farmers were stripped of all their land because they had got into debt with banks, and they were no longer able to pay those banks back, so they had to forfeit their land. The government finds different ways to do that, and child support is the same thing. It's almost like a bank getting in touch with you constantly and asking for money when you can't do it and still function in society. That's the reason why I'm moving right now. You can't just pay them what they ask for if you don't simply have it. That's what happened with the farmers when they lost their lands. The reason why, when they lost their land, the reason why is because I did a play about it in high school. I even met Willie Nelson and everything. And these farmers put all their money into buying better equipment so they could feed the world. And they went into major debt, and they lost all their land, and their families were broken up. People committed suicide over it. It was a horrible thing. One of the wives just dropped herself into a burning barrel. It was in a play called Rivers and Ravines. The play is known as Rivers and Ravines. So it just changes form. Child support is just another form of that, of the government finding some way, and the governments were behind some of those loans that were lent out to those farmers. They were connected to the government. It wasn't all just with the bank. The government were making promises to the farmers, and the banks were making promises that they did not keep. Basically, let me rewind here for a minute and go back to child support. The reason why that it doesn't work is because they're putting people into debt beyond their reason, or beyond a sensible reason is a better way to say it. They're putting them in debt that's not logical. I used to be a banker. I know these things. I used to cash child support checks all the time. And I knew each time I would cash those, I knew it was a wrong thing. I knew in my heart that it was wrong to do. Yet, to keep my job, I still had to cash these checks. And they're using men, and I'm part of the Men2Movement, they're using men as almost like an account. And the government is pointing their finger at these, at least they're poverty-stricken, because those are the only people usually paying child support. And they're pointing their finger at them saying, well, they have to pay. Well, you know who does that? And they say, well, if you don't pay, then we're going to put you in bondage, or we're going to do horrible things to you. You know who does that? Gangsters. My friend, Channing Freelove, who was a woman that I was friends with in college, was killed over $3,000 of marijuana money by gangsters. And the guys are in prison. Well, they should have got the death penalty, so they're lucky that they're around. But they're in prison right now. And they murdered her and her friend because of money, of drug money. There's no difference between that and what the government's doing with child support and saying that we're going to put you in bondage if you don't pay us. That's what gangsters do. And we need to get out of that mentality. It didn't work when Trump was in office, because Trump kind of sounded like, at times, a gangster. And if you go back to when JFK was assassinated, they say the government could have been a part of that, or at least the mafia might have been a part of that, or possibly Cuba, or maybe it was a lone gunman. But regardless, I think that our country acts at times like gangsters, like mafia. Paul, who was held on house arrest and was told in letters and in speech that they were going to martyr him and cut his head off. And then that's why he wrote in the New Testament that he would be a spilt offering, because his head would be cut off and blood would spill, and that was his offering that he'd had to give to follow Christ. Well, you know what? I know for a fact that Jesus Christ died for me. I don't know if everything Paul said was completely correct, but we think that it was. But I know for sure that Jesus Christ died for me. I don't have to be an offering, nor will I be. I am going to change child support laws myself before all of this is over. I'm going to do my best to do it. I'm going to find a way eventually to work my way up in office and I am going to prevent a way from taxing poverty-stricken fathers. And listen, if you're a wife, or you're a future wife, or you're engaged, and you're doing this because of money, get out of it. Because I'm going to make it very difficult for you to hurt another man in this way. I'm going to make it very difficult. What I plan to do one day is I want child support to be just part of welfare. It has nothing to do with the father or the single father or the poverty-stricken father or the father that's struggling. It's only a government thing. And they can't point their fingers at somebody for not having enough money. I am going to allow the poor to be poor if they want to be poor. And I'm going to allow the rich to be rich if they want to be rich. And I'm not going to allow anyone to point fingers at other people and say, because you don't make this amount of money, we're going to put you in bondage. Basically, I'm going to be one of the components to allow more freedom for people, especially the poor. I'm not going to abolish child support. I'm going to abolish where the fingers are pointed. I'm going to abolish the fact that this poor father cannot pay for what the government asks for him to pay for to them, either for religious reasons or for whatever reason that they choose not to pay for. And I'm going to redirect it in a different way. Because I think this is causing divorce. I think it's causing families to separate. It gives them a reason. Because the wife can feel safe and go off on her own, and then she can get these child support checks, and the man can go into feeling into danger. And she feels the wife is probably trying to control the husband or the ex-husband in doing this. And I think this control should be abolished. If the woman leaves the man, then she can go to the government for welfare to claim assistance. It's like a child assistance program. But she cannot use the name of the father any longer. I think that this will create union within family because it takes out the money in it. Because if the ex-wife cannot no longer use the name of the husband during the divorce, then she's probably going to cease from going in that direction. It'll keep a lot of families together because money will not be a factor. There will no longer be, you owe me child support, you owe me child support. There'll no longer be that. They'll just go to the government for child assistance, and the man can move on and start a new family. What happens in divorce is the woman goes into a sense, I guess, of abandonment or whatever, and she no longer wants to speak to that person. And there's no way for me to legally or to go up to my wife legally and even really speak to her without her getting authorities involved and me getting into trouble. I don't even know where she's at. I can't even communicate with her. She has completely abandoned me. So I have no special rights to pick up the phone and call her without her getting me in trouble anyway. This is all over money. It's gonna take some paperwork. I'm gonna have to sit down and look at what the government's been doing for, I don't know how long it's been going on. I don't know how long child support's, I don't know if it's been going on since the 70s, since the 50s. I don't know how long they've been doing this. It hasn't always been the case. But regardless, it doesn't work. It does not work. I just got a phone call. All right, I went on for 12 minutes. If you have any ideas about maybe the government restructuring child support and restructuring ways of, because it's not helping the family stay together. It's tearing families apart. And if you know ways that the government, I think it should be like a big welfare thing where she can just go to welfare and she doesn't use the name and they don't ask of the name of the father. I think that would bring families back together because she doesn't feel that she has to use my name and cash checks in my name to survive. That's what she feels like she has to do. She feels like she has to cash these checks in order to get the things that she needs for the children. And that means you're also making the children like a material thing, like you can buy them or whatever. And that's not the case either. We're having a lot of financial problems in this country, and it's one of the major problems, and I don't think it's ever going to be solved. I think child support creates divorce. I think it's anti-family. I don't think it's a family thing, and I think we need to restructure it. It'll allow either new families to be created, because what you're doing to me is you're putting a ball and chain on me, saying I'm not allowing you to start over. And let me ask you one more thing I wanted to bring about, because it's a very difficult thing to even talk about. What about if I did start over? What about if I did have another child? Would you tax my new family? That's exactly how the government needs to think. If I were to start over and got remarried and start a whole new family and had a whole new child, would you tax that new family that I'd created or that I'd gotten involved in? That would not be reasonable. And I know that that's probably happened before. And I know that the judge or the government will look at that differently. You cannot tell another person that they cannot start over. That's probably probably one of the things in the law is it allows the father to start over, especially if they go into being poverty-stricken. Because of it, it's basically killing people, okay? And you're preventing a person to start over. I want this discussion to be brought out. I want to try to find a way to go into office somehow in the future, and I want this to be a law that needs to be addressed. It's always been on my mind ever since I thought about having children when I was younger. It's always been a reason to wait and wait and wait. And I finally waited until I got a job at a bank. I was able to work at a bank, and I was 40 years old, and I finally started having children. But I knew it was in the back of my mind, because I remember cashing those child support checks. I remember thinking about this needs to stop. We need to find a better way to approach all of this. That's all I'm saying. We need to find a better way, a more civil way. There are criminals out there that are violent, that are not even locked up. There are people out there that have killed other people that they're looking for. They're not locked up. And then you treat somebody that worships God and loves their family, and you treat them as if, like they're a bank account. I'm just going to tell you this, United States of America, or whoever's behind the government, we need to reassess this whole thing. We need to restructure it, and stop stealing from the poor, and stop finding reasons to do it. This is just another reason to take from the poor. It's when we go back 50 years from now, whenever we look back at this, we'll see the nightmares that this has caused many people. All right, I'm on 16 minutes right now, so that's enough I wanted to say on that. I don't know if any of that can be used in the future, but I'm throwing it out there. I'm saying that I think it needs to be restructured. I think it needs to be relooked at. I think we need to get together as men that are going through this, and we need to speak out against it. I got another phone call. We need to speak out against it and say, well, look, maybe we can try this. Because if the wife will no longer accept the husband, then we need to allow families to be able to start over. And the boomer generation, the government kind of requested, go out there and have a lot of babies. We ended the war in 1945. This is my time for men that are suffering. Just move on, start a new family. I don't think it's reasonable to tax the new family for the old family. That wouldn't make any sense, because you do not want to take food from a new child that has been born. You don't want to do that. You want to give that person a chance to have a family. See, you got to realize, once my wife left 2 years ago, I have had no family other than my friend Linda. I've had no family at all for 2 years. I have not seen my children or anything. And I feel like if I get into this gamut of paying child support, it's never going to end. It's always going to be this gamut that's going to keep on going, of course, until the children reach the age of 18. then they no longer can at that point. Once the children mature and they turn 18, then they have to stop. I know that for sure. But I hope that they can reassess it and reevaluate everything to help other people that are struggling immensely. Okay, I ask this from you. I also ask for your prayers, and that's what I wanted to say. I guess I don't have all the answers, but me throwing things out there, at least trying, is something. It's at least something that could possibly change this struggle of trying to exist and having to ask money from the poverty-stricken people.